fact that schools are reopening today officially. Many were going through what you could say giving room for the boarding students Saturdays and Sunday, and then the others are also still open as kickoff today, if I am to put it in that way. So there's a lot of rush when it comes to the education sector, and for those who are moving in, or for those who are actually moving out and heading to the capital, there are lots of things that you will expect, one of which is intense traffic jams, simply because many parents are rushing to take their students or their children back to school. But how ready are the schools? How ready are the teachers for the first term of the academic year? That and more is what we're going to be discussing here on the show with the team of three that has joined me, or that is always with me, every single Monday to Friday. And to you, our viewer, it is always a pleasure to have you with us, and also good to see and good to know that you kickstart off your morning geared up with us, the Good Morning Uganda. But well, not only that, on a sad note though, over the weekend we were, of course, surprised, I should say, or not surprised, but shocked by the news of the death of the former president, or now former president of Namibia, that is the late His Excellency H. And of course, he passed on away from the country. But the news, and when you look at the X app, or the X handle of the president of Namibia, or the office of the president of Namibia, they've always been giving updates on the health of their president, and then finally till the last day when he was announced dead. But that, among many others, are some of the key stories that have made headlines across the weekend. But I'm here with the team: Chantal Oliver Kandinda, Olive Monica Najuma, and Chirabo Robert Nyonyinton, of which I will definitely be getting to them to check out how their weekend was, and also how prepared they are for this fresh new week. I will start off with Olive Monica Najuma to check how she's doing and how her weekend was. Hi Olive, good morning.
Well, good morning. How are you this morning?
I am doing okay. I hope you are as well.
Oh, I'm doing fantastic and just ready for this brand new week in the month of love. And I'm hoping that our viewer is also ready for this brand new week. We get to start afresh. I like to have a way of looking at new weeks. Every start of the week, I look at it as a fresh new chapter into something new, but also a new chance to realize some of the goals that probably you set for last week and didn't materialize, and now you're getting into a new week and you're excited. You know, have faith.
Indeed, have faith. And for the women out there, it is the month of love. You should definitely have faith. And if at all you do not have someone who will share that love with you, just know he can actually even come on the 13th of this very month. Besides that, let me check out Chantal Oliver Kandinda. How ready and how geared is she for the new week? And besides that, Chantal, how was your weekend? Good morning.
I had a very restful weekend, and when I'm glad I'm alive, I'm glad to be here. Looking forward to this week. I would like to agree with Olive that it's good to take every week and every day as a new beginning, so you can always start from wherever you are. It's never too late or too early. You mentioned something to do with the month of love, and on the 14th being Valentine's, the 15th is the day for the singles. So it's very strategic, because after 14th you get to realize either you're single or you're not. Yes, it is the day for celebrating the singles.
Oh, okay.
Because some gentlemen argue that we have children, so we do not focus on things like that, but she knows I love her every day because I have every day to show her that I love her.
Well, and for us the single,
let the gentleman tell us.
And for us the single, the market is always open for us to explore new opportunities, really, because of what really happened. So that means the market is either how do they say? Is it the inflation is now trying to balance a little bit, and you can easily get yourself one in the long run. But besides that, Robert Chirabo Nyonyintono, good morning. I wanted to start with you in relation to the death of the Namibia president. You can only imagine the situation in Namibia for now.
Well, I want to believe, oh, morning our viewers, morning the beautiful ladies. I can see one is already putting on a dress that has flowers.
Oh
So
my God.
if you're
Because I
there,
can buy myself flowers.
but of late we've seen those that console themselves, you know, with these deliveries. She puts her name, my love, so and so, that's delivered at work. Now when you put dress flowers, just know.
No, that's too much work, you know.
It's too much work, but someone wants to feel that they're not missing the moment.
No.
So when everyone is posting, honey, thank you, they have also what they are posting, and it somehow demarcates you, because the potential songers will think there is someone in your life, yet actually there isn't. Or you-
Well, we are used to the saying that you guys carry around, may the best man win. So you can join the queue.
Plus, they don't
Yeah.
steal from
All right, but-
empty houses.
Thank you. I can put it
what
in
was your
Uganda.
take for?
Well,
What was the
now
take
you
for the
see,
week?
love is becoming an issue. But let me go back to the Namibian president. When I said this, one shocked. He's had health issues for a long time. In 2013, I think he underwent a brain surgery. You know, he's been in and out, and I believe they expect it. Of course, it is shock when someone dies when they're in power.
True.
Most of African presidents, the likes of Mugabe, die after they have left power.
True.
You know,
Or
the likes
forced
of,
out of
Arab Moi, you know.
You know, these are very few cases.
These are
where
very
the
few when you
president
have a sitting president die. That could be the shock. But when it comes to health issues, he has really had a struggle for, his health has not been that very good. And he has been the third, but remember, he was serving his final term in office. He has been on the political line of Namibia for a long time. Right from apartheid days in South Africa. He's a person who has been there, then he went to exile, came back, became a president. So he's done so much for Namibia. And one would say maybe 50% of what this country has achieved has been this man and his struggle to see Namibia where it is. But kids are going back to school, and I call upon police or UNRWA, but whoever is concerned. People, I don't know if you've used this clock tower with a flyer.
It has been a very
The
chaotic
confusion
place
that is there. On Saturday, I almost stopped and wondered, now how do I proceed?
Even the videos circulating on
Because-
social media clearly show a lot of confusion.
And in a second, you're there, border is knocked. So we need either traffic lights or diligent police personnel to be there. Stop these vehicles, because Ugandans, the issue of patience, we're not very good at it. You know, I waited, but no one was waiting for me. So I said, well, now let me also give it a buzz. We either bump into each other or someone is scared. You know, you just have to scare someone to stop.
I think
so
there
that you
should
pass.
be traffic lights and also clear road signage. You know, like for instance, when you're driving at the expressway, it is very clear. Turn right, turn left, you get off the expressway here, you join
So
it here.
we actually
so
do hope
that-
UNRWA is actually watching cases here as
Exactly.
well.
They should look into that, because I've had complaints of people saying, sometimes I don't know when to get off the road or when to join the road. It is extremely confusing. They
Indeed.
should
Well,
work
since-
on it.
Well,
Alright.
since constructions are still going on, we can extend some grace and hope.
But the road is already
and-
being used.
And yeah, and hope that in a few days this will be settled as well.
And
Because
well, besides that, we will definitely be diving into what has been making headlines from the world of the news. First, we start off with the local scene.
And we'll begin with the First Lady, Janet Kataha Museveni, who is also the Minister for Education and Sports. The Minister for Education and Sports, Janet Museveni, stressed the importance of collective efforts to rebuild schools and ensure they maintain their role as centers of knowledge acquisition. At State House Nakasero, Mrs. Museveni, alongside the outgoing UNDP country representative, Miss Ellis Atufa, discussed progress on greening schools for enhanced learning and well-being project initiated in Kapchora last year. The Nehemiah initiative, spearheaded by the Ministry of Education and Sports, focuses on revitalizing schools, campuses through planting trees, aiming to create conducive learning environment, improve security, prevent land encroachment, and provide fruits for children's diet in partnership with UNDP. Additionally, Mrs. Museveni bid farewell to Mrs. Atafu, praising her contribution to policy implementation, particularly in the education sector. In response, Mrs. Atafua expressed gratitude and pledged continued support to Uganda's educational endeavors.
And turning our focus now on the UPDF graduates, Makerere University is calling for more partnership with the Uganda People's Defence Forces in producing science professionals. The university's principal for the College of Business and Management Sciences, Dr. Eria Hisali, says such partnerships will produce more effective engineers and other scientists. This was during the graduation memorial canvas for the Uganda People's Defence Forces graduates at Ndere Centre in Kampala, where Minister for Defence and Veteran Affairs Vincent Bamulangachi Sempija told officers to avoid corruption.
And moving on, over 200,000 Ugandan nationals, foreign security specialists, under the umbrella of Overseas Returnees Association and External Powerhouse, have appealed to government to be paid their benefits while serving in Iraq and Afghanistan peacekeeping missions from 2005. This was said during the signing of a memorandum of understanding between Overseas Returnees Association and External Labour Powerhouse in Kampala. The General President of Overseas Returnees Association, Kwizera John, appealed to government to support the foreign national security specialists who were hired by government of United States of America. Dr. Tusige Gideon also appealed to government to support their processes of getting pay while on peacekeeping in Iraq, Afghanistan and Somalia.
Now looking at UBTEB graduates, Makerere University College of Education and the External Studies Center for Lifelong Learning in partnership with Uganda Business and Technical Examinations Board has awarded certificates and diplomas to over 612 students during the 5th graduation ceremony of UBTEB students. During the awarding ceremony, UBTEB Executive Secretary Onesmus Oyesije said their mandate is to streamline and coordinate the assessment and award of TVET professions in the country, calling up all institutions in the country to embrace this initiative. Professor Muwaga Anthony, the college principal, thanked government for giving Makerere University an opportunity to reach out to all categories of education stakeholders to sit for these national examinations. He applauded students who choose practical studies which help them create their own jobs. UBTEB Executive Secretary Onesmus Oyesije said their mandate is to streamline and coordinate the assessment and award of TVET professions in the country, calling up all institutions in the country to embrace this initiative. Well, that does it for the local news.
Well, besides the local scene, we now head to the international scene to check out what is making headlines away from Uganda.
Well, away from Uganda, we start with the United States Senate that has unveiled a $111 billion bipartisan deal that would boost border security and provide wartime aid to Israel and Ukraine. U.S. President Joe Biden and Democratic and Republican leaders in the Senate have been pushing to resupply Ukraine with wartime aid, but have faced resistance from conservative Republicans who have insisted on measures to tackle illegal immigration at the border with Mexico. The bill announced on Sunday would provide $60 billion in aid to Ukraine, whose efforts to push back Russia's invasion have been hampered by a halt in U.S. shipments of ammunition and missiles. The deal would also provide $14.1 billion in military aid to Israel, $2.44 billion to address security in the Red Sea, where Yemen's Houthi rebels have launched dozens of attacks on commercial shipping, and $4.83 billion to support partners in Asia, where tensions have spiked between China and Taiwan. Also, at least 112 people have been killed by forest fires in Chile's Valparaiso region, local authorities have said. Gabriel Boric declared a state of emergency and said he would make all necessary resources available to tackle the situation. It is believed to be Chile's deadliest forest fire on record, Many of those affected were visiting the coastal region during the summer holidays. A health alert was put in place in Valparaiso by the Health Ministry. The ministry called for the suspension of elective surgeries and authorized temporary field hospitals to be set up. Medicine students nearing the end of their studies will be hired to help ease pressures on the health service, the ministry announced in the same statement. Rescue services have struggled to reach the most badly affected areas, and Interior Minister Carolina Toha said the death toll would reach much higher figures in the coming hours. The Chilean government has urged people not to travel to the areas hit by the fires. Now, coming back to Africa, Namibia has a new president in the shape of Nangolo Mbumba just hours after, as vice president, he had announced the death of his predecessor. Hage Geingob, 82, died early on Sunday while receiving medical treatment at a hospital in the capital. The veteran of the country's independence struggle, Mr. Geingob, had been diagnosed with cancer and revealed the details to the public last month. The nation has lost a liberation icon, Mr. Mbumba said. He has since been sworn in as Mr. Geingob's replacement and will serve in the role until elections due later this year. I am not going to be around for the elections, so do not panic, he said at a swiftly arranged swearing-in ceremony at State House just 15 hours after the death of the president. Paying tribute to his predecessor, he said our nation remains calm and stable owing to the leadership of President Geingob, who was the chief architect of the Constitution. Now, speaking matters climate, former Arsenal, Crystal Palace and Marseille midfielder Mathieu Flamini has called upon football's club players, governing bodies and fans to help tackle climate change. The 39-year-old Frenchman, who co-founded GF Biochemicals, a company that mass produces alternatives to oil-based products, said that football needs to stand up for climate change. In an interview with The Observer, Flamini urged those involved in the game to start finding solutions. Offsetting carbon is one of those solutions, but it's the minimum. Climate change is being ignored. If we talk about countries like India and China, people can't exercise outdoors anymore. Do we want to get there? Flamini, who co-founded his company in 2008 with AC Milan, is an ambassador of the Green Football Weekend, an initiative that seeks to encourage fans to make sustainable changes to their lives. This year, the message focuses on how eating vegetarian can be good for the planet. That is it for climate news and what is happening across different parts of the world.
Well, now we get to the press review to check out what the papers have to say in regards to what is trending across the world. We kick it off with the New Vision, which is highlighting Minister issues tough rules on school bullying, 4,000 teachers to be recruited for government aided secondary schools, according to what the New Vision is highlighting. Remember, the first term is kicking off today. Now, UPDF officers graduate from Makerere. A pictorial of the UPDF officers is at the front page of the New Vision today. 24 trillion Ugandan shillings free electricity project launched in Mitoma. Read about that in today's New Vision. Then the New Vision is highlighting the MAC lecturers trained to empower student leaders. That means they include the Juma Waswabalo Nywaz of this era. Then also, woman who lost baby at Mulago awarded 50 million Ugandan shillings. Then WhatsApp contracts are legal. Judge rules. Read about that in today's New Vision. Then health, Uganda in right direction to fight cancer. This is with the New Vision today, as the Mulago series undercover journalist grilled during job hunt. Read about that in today's New Vision. Now, elsewhere, we look at the Daily Monitor with the headline, Scramble for free kidney transplants. In between the line, who will get lucky? 5 patients of the already registered 30 on dialysis will be given the costly treatment for free at Mulago National Referral Hospital. Now, tribute, General Yusuf Gowon, Idi Amin's general laid to rest. Then in healthy living, why you should never skip breakfast. Then back to school, time to get back to books as new term begins. A pictorial of parents taking their children back to school. That is in the Kampala CBD. Then in the other news, panic grips finance and UIA after IGG raid. Then poverty blamed for rising cancer death. As in the other news from the foreign scene, tributes pour in for dead Namibia leader. That is what is coming in from the Daily Monitor. Also in the other story, still with the Daily Monitor, President Museveni to teachers, Uganda too broke to increase your salaries. That is what the Daily Monitor is highlighting. Now we cross the borders to Kenya. The Daily Nation, crisis over member of parliament seats is what the Daily Nation is highlighting. A pictorial of President William Ruto and of course the other opposition leader Raila Odinga at the front page of the Daily Nation. Then the high price of passive smoking, read about that. Then the Daily Nation is highlighting why election servers won't be hosted abroad. That and more is with the Daily Nation. Now as we cross to Tanzania, the Citizen newspaper is highlighting Kwala dry port to ease Dar es Salaam cargo congestion. This is in regards to responding to rising cargo volumes at the Dar es Salaam port. Read about that in the Citizen. Now Kilaini says no one wanted to listen to me on Tegeta escrow scandal. Then the other news, East Africa to roll out local antibiotic production and combat imports. Then also, Chinana defends government actions over reconciliation despite criticism from Chadema as government initiates health measures at border points to contain cholera. Lastly, the East African with the headline Museveni bets on Samia to save oil plan. Then tragedy in the city, still at the front page, Italy and Africa ties, small cash with big strings. Then the honeymoon is over. Ruto faces hostile stronghold is what the East African is highlighting this morning. But well, besides that, that is what we've been able to gather for you from the local scene, international, and the press review. Now at this time, as we head into a break to usher you into the newsreel, first we have our inspiration song coming in from Bebe Cool, Go Mama.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Fresh week, and we are here to make sure that we steer it into the right direction. Welcome on board and many thanks for joining us here at Broadcast.
You can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, and welcome along to the GMU Newsreel this time round as we look into further discussions into what is making headlines across the country. Now, as you will may know that this day, or the 5th of February, is the time when schools are officially reopening for first term. The academic year kicks off officially today. And that means we expect a number of students reporting for school, as many already reported over the weekend, especially for the boarding students. Now, many of the other schools have not opened for factors to do with lack of preparedness, according to the inspectors from the Ministry of Education, because these are inspections that normally occur as the term is reopening. The bigger question is, though, where does this leave the students and where does this leave the parents? Because it's a first term, you expect all parents to be geared up and all students to be geared up, simply because it is a new academic year and students are heading, or pupils are heading, to a new class. So that means everyone is supposed to be very prepared enough to go into that. But at the background of our conversation this morning, we look at the fact that in Jinja, there was a report that is courtesy of the Daily Monitor, which was revealing as of yesterday that 25 Jinja schools won't reopen for term 1. Now, according to the Jinja District Inspector of Schools, that is Mr. Eria Chisambira, some of the key notables to take away during an impromptu inspection that was done by his department ahead of the reopening of the first term, the schools, these 25 schools, amongst the other schools that were actually inspected, were found operating in commercial shops. They lacked qualified staff, space, latrines and management committees, among others. So when you look at some of the key highlights of what led to the closure of these schools for the time being, until they work on these issues, these are some of them. Commercial shops, or the space under which they are operating schools. But that brings us to the bigger question on what should be really done to ensure that as schools are reopening, these schools are meeting up these standards. Now, joining me on set this morning, I do have Olive Monica Najuma and Chantal Olive Akandinda as we get to discuss more of the same, the preparations of schools, and how ready are they? Because it does seem like this may not be the only region where we have such issues. It does give us a picture of how the entire outlook of certain areas within the country is at the moment. But well, the schools are reopening today, but how prepared are they? Let me get to Olive Monica Najuma as we kickstart off our conversation. Monica, good morning once again.
Good morning, Sonko.
Well, looking at this particular issue, one may wonder how prepared are schools really for first term, and what should the parents or pupils or students who ideally sit down with their parents look at if they are to get into, or if they are to choose a good school for them to get started off with the academic year?
You know, when it comes to school, sometimes you will find a school that has, let's say, the structural, they have the structures, they have the good buildings, but then they don't have qualified teachers. But in this case, it even starts with the basics. They did not have the structures. Why are you running a school in a commercial shop? Why are you running a school without, by the way, I don't know why, but most schools do not take hygienic places like pit latrines, like toilets, seriously. You'll find a school that has maybe 700 to 1,000 pupils, and they have 2 pit latrines. And all these pupils are supposed to be using the same pit latrine. And yet we know that we need, one of the things that makes our children sick when they're back in school, all those bacterial infections you hear about, it is because of poor hygiene at school. You'll have, for instance, we've had our children at home for 2 months and they've been healthy. But now when they go to school, I have a friend who owns a children's clinic and he says that is the time they start making money. Why? Because there is a lot of bacteria at school that now the children catch up. But it starts with surfaces, of course. And we know that, yes, a school may not be able to 100% prevent children from getting sick, but there are things that can be avoided. Things like having hygienic places of convenience. And here, I mean bathrooms, I mean pit latrines, I mean toilets. And if you have toilets, are they flushing? I've had stories of children in boarding schools saying, we have a toilet in our room, but then it doesn't flush, or the bathroom is very dirty. So what are the wardens and matrons doing if a toilet can go uncleaned? Because they're supposed to supervise these kids.
True.
Then I know maybe these children in, let's say, senior secondary school, maybe senior 1, senior 2, senior 3, they're not really very young, but at the same time, they still need to be guided and supervised. So parents, when you go to look for your child's school, personally, I would actually go as far as checking to see what kind of bathrooms does this school have, what kind of toilets does this school have. I know of a school in Chira that is known for having the most toilets in the school. Like, they have so many of them, and I commend it for doing that. I hope other schools could do the same. But also the other thing to look at is, okay, fine, maybe it is finances, and you don't have enough money to take your child to a school that has all these beautiful and many structures. But even that small one where you're taking your child, you need to understand how many pupils are in one class, how many teachers, what is the ratio of teachers vis-a-vis the children? Because in some schools you're going to find 2 classes sharing the same space.
Yes.
So how are these children going to concentrate and learn and understand? Also, you need to see certain things, like when you go to the HM's office, do they really have a license to operate a school? Because these are things we never look at. For you, there is a school fees is affordable, you take your child there. But does that school have a license? Have you seen it? Because it's supposed to be displayed on the wall. Have you seen it there? Or these people, other teachers, because if there is no license, there is no way you're going to convince me that the teachers in that school are actually qualified teachers. So these are some of the things parents need to look at. And then when it comes to government, yes, I appreciate that this inspection was done, but was it, because these schools were closed on Saturday. And maybe my biggest question here is, should schools be inspected right when the term is beginning, keeping in mind that some parents pay school fees for next term in the last term? So how are they being helped right now when these schools are asked to close?
Yet the students and pupils are still at home. That brings me to Chantal Oliver Kandinde. When you look at the timing of this inspection, was it the right inspection? But also, if you are to take us through, what are some of the substandard items that were, picked out through the Ministry of Education inspection in Jinja that other schools should notice? Because it does seem like it may not only be happening in Jinja, but it may be happening all over the country.
Well, first of all, I was trying to follow up on he's called Mr. Chisambida. According to him, inspections were done before the terms closed.
Okay.
So these schools were warned that if you do not work on these issues, you will not reopen. Now, my challenge is you have closed the schools on a Saturday when the students are supposed to be reporting on Sunday and Monday, and you are frustrating over 5,000 students and their parents. We are not counting numbers even. Over 5,000 students that you are frustrating who are anticipating going back to school. So it is a bit not timely. As much as it keeps the schools in check, these are private schools, much as it might help to keep them in check, at the end of the day, you're frustrating a student out there who should be now in school studying. That means if I had paid part of the school fees, if the school doesn't have plans to get itself reopened sooner, as a parent, I'm going to have to look forward to put my child. I am paying double. Yes, I'm spending more money. But also as a student, we all do know that it's not very wise or very good to change your child's school. You know, I mean, it's usually better to let this child flow and have, you know, have that kind of flow. But if they have to change school, there is the part of adopting, there is the new environment, a lot of things happen in there. So in this case, it's a bit frustrating and disorganizing for the students and for the parents. For the schools, in my own opinion, they saw this coming for themselves. They probably did not take it serious. And maybe there is a reason as why they didn't take it serious. Maybe usually the dogs bark and they don't bite. And this time around they've come to bite.
Because someone waiting till a day to school's reopening and you've not done anything.
Yes, that means in Uganda, in yesiga. Or there's been a precedent before of where they've come and told you we're going to close, or you are warned and nothing happens, and this time around something has happened. Now, if you are telling me that you do not have latrines, you don't have the right structure, that is classrooms, enough classrooms, or even you don't have enough latrines, you don't have management committees.
Unqualified staff.
You have unqualified. What are you teaching these students? How are you going to ensure that they are? We need to go back and assess even the results that come from these schools, because I was actually thinking at some point, schools that do not produce good students because of the schools themselves should also be closed at a particular point. But because such an environment is not going to be favorable enough for this child. Imagine this child is treating infections every now and then, giving an example. Yes. Imagine there's not qualified teachers that are going to make sure that these students are getting enough knowledge in class. How do you expect them to pass? So there should be, let's say, category, or there should be steps followed, or a criteria, that's the word I was looking for, a criteria that is used to map out how these schools either stay in the system or get out of the system for us to be able to even have good quality students put out there.
I think the problem as to why we have schools like that is because, like in the medical sector, there are schools in the education sector now. Schools have become more of a business, whereby someone says this business has a good return on investment, and they invest in it. They don't have an education background. Now they're running a school, because we also know some clinics where people are like, no, you don't need to be a doctor to start a clinic. You just have to hire the right people.
Well, we can go to the bare minimum. Thank you very much. You've started very well, to the right people. So let's talk about the bare minimum. I am starting a hospital. I'm starting a school. If I'm putting in money, then definitely I have to make sure that I am getting the value out of it. There is no way you're going to start a school, a business, and then you're not hiring the right people and you expect return on investment. At the end of the day, you're going to be facing such challenges. So, and also, what is the ministry doing to ensure that for each school that is set up, you see how we talk about KCCA and urban planning, making sure that each building that crops up has a plan that has been presented before and approved, then that means that even schools have to be approved before they're even set up. If they're already set up and maybe this is new, then something has to be done to make sure that they conform to any standards that have been put in place. Otherwise, we're still going to face the same challenges. This is Ginger, but if you traverse the country, you will see worse or the same in different parts of the country. And
well, to you, our viewer, you will agree that schools normally have a teaching and non-teaching staff. And when it comes to the quality of teachers, one would definitely expect a teacher to be having the least diploma, especially if it is primary. I should say. And well, when it comes to the unteaching staff, in most cases, some of them have not gone far with the education. Either there may be you know, cleaners and the like.
Well, if it's a school nurse, she should
supposed to, exactly. And if I told you it's also a school chef, because of the fact that that is also a very sensitive part.
They're not chefs,
you know.
they are cooks.
It depends. They're schools. You know, when you go to some of
maybe you're thinking
students
of schools
from
like Vienna College.
You know, students will tell you they do have chefs.
I think it depends on the school.
But of course, for us, most of us grew up from
it's more like calling embezzlement. It's more like calling theft embezzlement. If you know what I'm saying. They are cooks, but they're called chefs just to to make it sound a lot better, just like theft and embezzlement are the same, but we choose embezzlement because it sounds a little bit better than theft.
But well, besides that, I need to also know, you know, the schools are reopening today officially, and we expect to have some of these cases continue, by the way, simply because as the schools reopen, government continuously does these assessments, so inspections, even during the course of the term. My worry goes to the students or the pupils. As you can definitely see, at times, the environment that you give your child highly impacts their progress in education. Where does this leave the students or the pupils, especially those who have no say in regards to the schools they actually go to? Because at times it's the parents and the financial muscle of the parents that decides the kind of school the child is going to. So where does this leave the children?
Unfortunately, if their schools have been closed and they do not take the necessary steps that are required by the Ministry of Education to open the schools, then the parents will have to again dig deeper in their pockets and find alternative schools for their children. If they have already paid fees and there is no more money to look for a new school, then unfortunately they may not return and report for the new academic year like their peers are doing today and tomorrow, and some of them already went to school over the weekend. So that is the ugly picture some of these pupils are facing, unfortunately.
And well, Chantal, what should the schools do? Because we've put ourselves in a situation where many are opening up schools simply because they think there is money.
Yeah.
I even do know of a popular hotel around Nambole that was turned into a school now, which clearly shows you the choice of doing business is turning into something that is more profitable. So school proprietors do believe there is a lot of profit coming in from schools because some of them are just naturally business people. And this is why we're seeing situations like, let's say, a commercial shop structure being turned into a school, a house being turned into, let's say, kindergarten and the like. And these are cases that are continuing. So that means schools have not planned, or the proprietors do not plan so well. They just set up structures so as to attract parents and get more money. So where does this leave, you know, the quality of schools that we have in the country? But then what should government do and what should be done, especially with the fact that the private sector is greatly into school as a business? But this is actually, you know, trying to lay a very bad image to the country's education system.
Well, I was trying to look for the good business practices. Since we are talking, it's a business, whether we like to think about it like that or not, it's a business. So as a business owner, carry out good business practices. I think if you are looking to invest, start small. That's the only thing I can think about that would give us solutions at the moment. If you are setting up a school, you don't have to start big. Start with primary 1 to primary 4. And then after that, you can progress to other classes and make sure that you provide the necessary systems and necessary structure to make sure that these, even if you have 4 classes, but you're making sure that these 4 classes are getting everything they're supposed to be getting, or they're up to standard, it's a lot better than having a whole school of P1 to P7 and you don't have the necessary structures and equipment to enable your school stand. At the end of the day, you're still going to be facing the challenges that we are seeing at the moment. So to the school owners, the business owners, those who are looking to start schools, let's put ourselves in the shoes of the parents. And do you also realize that in most cases, the owners of such schools, their kids are not in those schools. They're taking the money they're making out of those schools is the money they're taking to pay school fees in other schools that are better than their schools that they have set up. So if you can't put your child in the school that you've constructed or you've put in place, why would you want someone else's child to be in that school? Also, if you are looking to have to make profit now, what good is it for your school to be among the 25 that were closed, yet you put it in place to earn a living?
And of course, it's on rare occasions where you will find school proprietors having their children in the same schools that they own. Very rare times in Uganda. But for you, our viewer, you can join this conversation on our X app and as well as on our WhatsApp. You can definitely share your views on steps the government should take to ensure that the schools fulfill the education and structural requirements. Because as we speak now, many have already kicked off with the first term of their academic year. So to speak, some are maybe having a general assembly for a new term. Others are already into their first lesson of the term. So that means many have already geared up and already moving in the right direction. But then what should the government do to ensure that those that are not at the same pace as what we term as the first-class schools in the country should do? That can be as wide as you can see, depending on where you're looking at. But well, when we look at the emergence of these schools, I will get to Monica. When you look at the emergence of these private schools and the many in all these structural form, doesn't this undermine the strength of our education system, in the mere fact that when you look across the country, many of the other parents who choose to go for some of these schools is because either the quality of education in the UPE or USE schools may not meet the standards that they wish for their children, and what they do is they opt for a privately owned school because they think maybe if they pay for this service, they'll be able to get some good results for their children.
That's right. Some parents believe that USE and UPE schools may not offer the right education for their children. But let me tell you this, Sonko. If a school is closed because it does not have a pit latrine, yes, which is something that is usually constructed way before real construction begins for the...
Because where were the builders going?
But now if a school is closed because it has no pit latrine, if a school is closed because it has no management committee, if a school is being closed because it doesn't have the right structures for classes, then this parent is actually being hoodwinked. A UPE school may be actually way better than a private school. For instance, can you compare any of those schools to a school like Nakasero Primary?
No.
You cannot. And we need, I think, to disabuse ourselves of the notion that UPE schools do not offer good quality education. Now, if you can afford to pay for private education, private school, then well and good, go ahead and do it. But if you must go to a school that is substandard, for me, I believe that it would be better for parents to consider taking their children to USE and UPE schools, because you will also find that the teachers in these schools are actually qualified, because government has requirements it considers before it gives a teacher a job. And failure to have these requirements means that you will not teach in a government school. Maybe the problem in government schools sometimes is that they don't have enough teachers. But are they qualified? The few they have, are they qualified? You'll find that they are. But in these schools, I believe that in schools like this that the Education Ministry closed, you'll find that those are schools where someone failed senior 4 or senior 6, and his parents said, go study teaching.
And then so this is the quality of the
exactly.
teacher we have.
If you failed, and this is basic education in our country, if you failed senior 4, why are you going to teach someone's child? Why? There is no reason as to why you should teach anyone's child. But also looking at the other aspect of safety when it comes to schools, we have seen school fires in different schools, even the ones that have good structures. Now let's look at schools like these ones. If they're failing to have basics, can you convince me that a school like this will invest in firefighting measures like having fire extinguishers in the school if they don't have basics? And at the end of the day, we are going to take there our children, and God knows what might happen to them.
You know, when you also mentioned on the issue to do with firefighting, you realized this has also been a very serious issue of concern in the country over the years, and how schools are geared up to prevent such occurrences. Well, Chantal, when you look at such situations, as we look at the schools reopening, should parents really take serious, note of such issues? Because at times you realize most of the parents pay a lot of attention to the grading as of today. They pay a lot of attention to how the school is performing. And a few even take time to go, well, I've seen some mothers who actually head to the dormitories for the boarding schools, for example, to make sure that they look at the quality of, the dormitories or the space where their children are going to be for the next 2 or 3 months. But as we're summing up with our conversation, on a wider scope, What should the schools do? What should the government do? And what should the parents do as the schools are reopening?
Let's be more deliberate. A government's role is to ensure that the schools that are in place are up to standard, and this is in accordance to the standards that have been put in place. Do they have the necessary structure and equipment and personnel to enable them run? That goes for inspections during, after, and before school, so that we get to iron out these things. To the parents, I mean, sometimes I still use a Uganda word, because if you're taking your child to a seemingly cheap school, I'm using the word seemingly cheap school because you feel like it kind of passes, and you're not considering these things. You are, at the end of the day, affecting your pockets because you're the one who's going to be treating these infections. Also, you are affecting your child mentally because these schools also have a lot of effects on these children mentally, and then you are also affecting your child's studies. Then going forward, if we use collective effort, if the government can close some of these schools or prompt them to make sure that, that they have what it takes to be in position to run better, and then the parents are also shunning away from these schools, it's going to help us. Then to the school owners, come on, there is no way you're going to put such conditions for someone's child, because it kind of seems like you're helping them to put a structure and give them a certain amount of money to pay that is seemingly manageable, but not give them what they need in the background. It's disrespectful, actually. So let's all play our part.
Well, and like Chantal said, let's all play our part. This particular comment is coming in from Nyereki Aaron, in which I want Olive Monica, in her final submission, to give a point or two about it. Nyereki Aaron in Sironko says, health is paramount irrespective of the owner of the school, whether government or private. Now, the problem is some schools shall open though they have not met the minimum requirements, as long as they give the chitu kidogo to the law enforcement team. Olive, in a minute as your final submission, how do we deal with this chitu kidogo situation?
You say the submission comes in from Aaron?
Yes, in Sirongo.
I think Aaron is somehow right onto the money. The problem that we have, because ask yourself one question, how are we having these schools operating and they are being actually warned at the end of the term that if you do not work on ABCD, you won't open in first term. First of all, what was considered before these schools opened? Was there someone to inspect? Because if you ask me, I think inspection should happen way before the school starts business. You have put up a structure, you've put up a signpost for your school, you have put in you have, let's say you've put in desks and whatnot. Now, before you start a business, I'll borrow from what Chantal said earlier. If you're going to construct a building, KCCA will have to approve your plan and whatnot, okay? And I would assume that before this building is occupied, someone is still going to come and look at it to see if it is habitable or it is okay for the people that will live in it or work in it. Now, before a school commences business, is there something the Education Ministry does? Do we have inspectors that get through these schools and check them out? Or, like Aaron said, because of kitu kidogo, these schools open even when we know that they should not be opening in the first place.
Well, many thanks for being part of our conversation this morning, and to some of you who have been sharing your views and opinions. I'll go through the only two of the remaining. This one says, good morning. I'm happy for the action taken by government to close the schools and other institutions that have failed to meet the requirements for a healthy learning system. And of course, that is highly commendable. And we wish the government continues with these inspections. He also further says, I wish government extends supervision to upcountry, completely monitor education system. A deaf man listens when you only hit the ears hard. This is Wambale Enos in Kasanda district. Well, these particular inspections are going all over, ongoing all over the country, even up country areas. Then, good morning. This is Esther from Barara, who says, I think a parent also should be keen on the kind of school he or she is taking a child. Not every government school has teachers that don't qualify. And well, what Esther is actually saying, well, even the government schools are providing good education. And also, to remind you that this very year 4,000 teachers are going to be recruited in government-aided secondary schools. So for those who are actually looking for secondary schools, you should as well know that government is going to be recruiting 4,000 of those. And ideally, that's more job opportunities for many in the education sector. But as we're summing up with our conversations, you also get to realize some of the other conversations or discussions that have been making rounds all over the country is how expensive some schools are and how cheap others are. But the concern is that a very big kind of worry for the parents? Yes, of course. But there are those who are saying they're more comfortable when the school is actually charging highly. That will be a conversation for another day. And well, Monica was geared up for that conversation, trust me. But many thanks for being part of the newsreel this Monday. Coming up is the UGI Tourism Express, or the UBC Tourism Express with Alan. So stick around. Good morning.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Azam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
Well, welcome everyone to the biggest game on the continent.
And you have to. You've got to just seize those moments and enjoy them as much as you possibly can.
Junko.
Yo.
What you go? Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Uganda, haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a poultry project, and now things are moving.
Junko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. But what you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that.
Okay.
The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
It's a very good morning. Over here, we are very excited to start the week with you. We hope that you're also having a very good one. And as you're driving to work or you're seated already at your work desk, we are excited and pleasured to know that you are watching UBC TV. And this is the GME Tourism Express, where we talk about everything that you would need to know about Uganda's tourism, from the travel news, travel trends, events, tourism attractions, accommodation. What is it that you would want to know about Uganda's tourism? This is the perfect time for you to tune in and explore through the world of tourism in Uganda and East Africa at large. And today being the fresh week, February and a new month, the month is really going to be busy, or seems to be very busy, because it is the month of love. People are expecting so many things from each other. But as you're showing love to your people, maybe to your spouse, to your girlfriend, like, you also show some love to your country. And how do you show some love to the country? This is the perfect time for you. You can decide to have a romantic trip to maybe one destination in Uganda, go to Sessa Islands, go to Jinja, show some love to the Pearl of Africa. By the way, it's a beautiful place that will fascinate you. And as we all want, maybe we want that physical beauty, or maybe the inner beauty, and Uganda has it all. When it comes to physical beauty, Uganda is a very beautiful place for you to watch. But also when it comes to maybe what we could call like the inner beauty, Uganda also spices up your emotions. If you want to just relax, Uganda has so many beaches where you can go and relax off the stress. The beautiful scenery, you can just go and relax off everything that you would want to forget for just maybe some days. So just show some love to the country and explore, or decide to make one trip to any of the destinations that we have in the country. Well, in the travel news today, we are talking about the World Wetlands Day. I know most of the people could not be aware of the World Wetlands Day, but this is a day that is commemorated on 2nd February every year, just to create more awareness about the importance of wetlands. And Uganda, last week, NEMA joined the rest of the world to commemorate this day, and this day was celebrated in Gulu with a theme that wetlands and human beings, wetlands and human well-being. So this came in a right time when NEMA and the government were trying so much, or struggling so hard, to see that there is a sustainable use of the wetlands in Uganda, and also reduce at the rate of degradation of the wetlands. And the National State of Environment report stated that the impact of wetlands in Uganda is currently standing at 9.3, which showed an increment from the 8.9 that we had in 2019. So NEMA, together with the government, have been working a lot to see that they restore some parts of the Lubiju wetland 2022 and 2023, but also the government has put us some policies like removing the wetland titles, restoration of the degraded wetlands. So with all these policies and all the efforts that NEMA and the government are putting in, we hope that we shall restore more of the wetlands, because the wetlands are really very important to the ecosystem. They are homes of very many species, they are sources of food, they also filter or improve the water quality in the country, and also control erosion on the shores of lakes and rivers. So it is very important that we protect these wetlands, and also ensure that there is a sustainable use of the wetlands in the country. And the travel news today, just to take you through the travel events that we have in this month. I say that this month is going to be quite busy for the tourism industry, and still also the whole world, because I said it is a month of love. And then in the travel industry, next week we have the Explore Busoga campaign that is going to start on the 13th to the 17th of February. So we are going to Busoga region, that is Jinja, Iganga, Buyikwe, like so many districts in Busoga region, and we are going to explore this adventure capital of East Africa. So many activities are going to go on: crossing the Nile Bridge, bungee jumping, visiting the source of the Nile, like so many activities. So just set up the dates and ensure that you explore Busoga together with the rest of the team that will head to Jinja. Another event that is happening this very month, the Wildlife Marathon by Ministry of Tourism. So this Wildlife Marathon usually happens annually. However, we had the last one in 2020, but we are having the other edition on the 25th of February, this very month, this very year. And the theme this year is still educating the children of the fallen rangers. So if you're buying a kit, just know that you are sending 1 or 2 kids back of the fallen rangers back to school. So just mark that date, start exercising, start jogging, so that by the time that date comes in, 25th comes in, you're ready maybe to take up the 21 kilometers, but also take back the children of the fallen rangers to school, because these people do amazing work conserving our national parks, taking us around, conserving the wildlife in national parks. So it is just important that we ensure that even the fallen rangers kids can go back to school. That is it that we had for you in the travel news. And going into the attractions. Today, the place that we are talking about is very common to people. Like, I think almost everyone knows about this place, but they don't know what really happens here. Actually, you find that even the people that have stayed there for more than 10 years only know this place maybe as a residential place or just the sole entrance into the country, but there is a lot that you can do, and that place is Entebbe town. We are going to take you just through about the 5 top things that you can do in Entebbe town in a day, actually, because when you talk about Entebbe town, it being the sole entry into the country, because it is the only town that has the international airport in Uganda, so that is where most of the tourists coming into the country pass, but they also pass there again as they are going back. And then you wonder, why is it that less attention is given to this place? However much it has so many attractions that you can visit and activities that you can engage in. And one of the first on the list on the 5 top attractions or activities that you can have in Entebbe is Lake Victoria. This is Africa's largest lake, our largest freshwater lake, and it is the 2nd largest in the world. So Lake Victoria is very beautiful, and it has beautiful beaches. When we talk about beaches in Uganda, you cannot fail to mention Lake Victoria, because it's very popular for the beautiful beaches in the country, and constantly on weekends, you find so many Ugandans going to these beautiful beaches to relax, to swim, to have boat cruises on this lake. You can have a boat cruise, go to Ngamba Island, go to Jinja, go to different islands, but having those beautiful boat cruises, just enjoying the scenic view, the fresh air, enjoying the whole beauty that the lake has to offer. So just find time. If you've not been there, or if you've been there, please find time. And this is a place that you can just drive like 40 kilometers away from Kampala. That is roughly just an hour or even 50 minutes driving away from Kampala. And with the Entebbe Express Highway, you can drive to Entebbe just like in 15 minutes or 20 minutes. So just find time, go and explore these beautiful beaches in Entebbe along Lake Victoria. You can also engage in fishing and taste that fresh fish that is just gotten from the lake. So there are different places like Kasenyi. The beaches also have this fresh fish. So just find time and go there and enjoy all these activities that can be taken on Lake Victoria. Then another activity or destination that you can actually visit when you're in Entebbe, it is Uwek. This is commonly known as the Entebbe Zoo, because it was actually Entebbe Zoo was first just as a place where they used to rescue animals that were found maybe in people's gardens, on the streets. They used to rescue animals and keep them at Uwek, but later it became a zoo. And this is one of the places that you can visit to go through the diverse wildlife species that Uganda offers or keeps in its national parks. So if you have limited time and you can't visit the 10 national parks that Uganda has, you can go to Entebbe Uwek to give you just an introduction of what you can see in Uganda's national parks. So there are many different wildlife species, and lions, the king of the jungle. You're going to see elephants, you're going to see giraffes, zebras, chimps. You're going to see so many animals. And also Uwek is a home to over 121 bird species. So if you give it time, you can spot different bird species at Uwek. But also another interesting thing about Uwek is the behind the scenes experience. So the behind the scenes experience gives you an opportunity to feed the giraffes and learn about conservation and wildlife. These are animals that we usually mistake to be maybe rude or tough, but actually when you get close to these animals, you find them so interesting. And that one Seguia giraffe at Uwek is one that you should really befriend and go feed sometime. So just find time and go visit Uwek. The third attraction that you can go to while in Entebbe is the Uganda Reptile Village. So if you're one person who is enticed by the reptiles, you need to visit the Uganda Reptile Village, from cobras, the vipers, crocodiles, turtles, tortoises, chameleons, like so many things, so many reptiles that you can find here, and you get a chance to learn more about these reptiles. I personally went to this place by the one I carried that big cobra. It is not something easy, but you also take that off, you take it off your bucket list and be like, yes, I fought that snake. And then, you know, this, we usually mistake these reptiles to take them to be our enemies, but actually when you learn how to handle them, you find that you can even handle a snake, or even some snakes are not poisonous. But the moment we see a snake, we just rush to kill them. But when you go to the Uganda Reptile Village, you learn so much about these reptiles and also get a chance to get close to them. Turtles are very nice to carry, by the way, in your hand, so you just need to go there and explore all these beautiful reptiles. The fourth place, or the second last of the day that we are talking about today, is Zika Forest. Do you know that we have a relatively big forest in Entebbe town? This is not common to find forests in the towns, but we have Zika Forest in the town. It is a home to very many bird species, butterflies, monkeys. So if you want to do some research, or you want to do birding, you want to learn more about butterflies and different tree species, you can get time and visit Zika Forest. It is just a few kilometers away from town. So find time, visit Zika Forest and dive into more nature and different diversity that the forest has to offer. And the last one is Mabamba Wetland. So Mabamba Wetland is one of the best places where you can spot the short-billed stork in Uganda. This bird is an attraction, or it attracts so many tourists across the world to come and just see this one beautiful bird, the short-billed stork. So Mabamba Wetland is the best spot. It is also an introduction into Uganda's birding. So most of the people that come to Uganda to do birding, they usually start with Mabamba Wetland, Entebbe Botanical Gardens, but Mabamba Wetland specifically adds on the canoe or the boat cruise or canoeing on the wetland, because you cannot reach into the wetland, the middle of the wetland, without a canoe. So you use that canoe experience. So as you're birding with a canoe. It is a whole experience that you need to have. So if you just want to see birds, and particularly that beautiful bird, the short-billed stork, you need to visit Mabamba Wetland, or when you're in Entebbe, make sure that you don't miss out some of those destinations that we've mentioned. However, Entebbe has so many other destinations, over 50 destinations you can do in Entebbe, others that we've not mentioned. You can visit the airport, UN base, like so many other things. That is it that we had for you for that travel attractions today. And for the tip that we are giving you today is that do not limit yourself. When you come for a trip, you find that a destination has so many attractions and activities that you can dive in. Please make sure that you engage in them as much as you have the time. Don't limit yourself. I only came to do a boat cruise at Lake Victoria. I want to go to work. No, my dear, just go and engage in all the activities that the destination can offer. Do not limit yourself. Thank you so much. I am Irene Ali Namisango, Uganda Uncovered. Catch you tomorrow, and next is a GMU Business Update.
For business. Good morning. I'm Jerome Paul Songu. Now, from the business perspective this morning, 3 oil roads measuring 97 kilometers connecting districts in the Bunyoro sub-region to the rest of the country and the DRC are near completion. This means we are speaking matters oil and gas and pretty much infrastructural development. It is time for the GMU Business Update here on GMU. Now, the China's 7th Railway Group head of public relations, Chen Hai, told UBC that roads connecting to the oil fields adjustment to the Lake Albert have started boosting business. The road network is connecting the oil region to the rest of the country, and the DRC, according to reports, are now complete or are almost complete. So that means quickly looking into how the oil and gas sector is how the country is benefiting from the oil and gas sector. These are many of those particular opportunities that you can see. Now, the 47 kilometers from Masindi to Biso, the 25-kilometer Kabale to Chizarafumbi, to Nairongo through Charushesha up to Butole. Then all are in Hoima. Masindi, Chikube and Bulisa districts have all started boosting local and cross-border trade courtesy of this infrastructural development. So far, commuting between districts has become easy while the prices for produce have increased. The price for maize, for example, has increased to 1,000 Ugandan shillings from 300 per kilo, while a bag of unshelled coffee costs 150,000 Ugandan shillings, and it was initially at 80,000 Ugandan shillings. Now, the 3-hour journey now takes only 45 minutes simply because of the smooth roads that have been, built and set up. The public relations officer, Atwine Ambrose, appealed to leaders to prepare the locals to tap into the oil and gas sector as majorly suppliers who may not be benefiting directly, but due to the indirect way of supplying to the government, to the private sector that is participating actively in the oil and gas sector, they can pretty much earn more from the same. Now, there's a new interesting report that says that tax exemptions are not achieving targeted jobs. And as you kick off the Monday, according to the Auditor General, 22 companies out of the 36 that have the benefit from tax incentives were not fully meeting the desirable employment levels of nationals. And in this report, which was for the period ended June 2023, the noted that during the 2022-2023 financial year, 22 companies out of the 36 that benefit from tax incentives were not fully meeting the desirable employment levels of nationals, but benefited from tax breaks that were worth 1.4 trillion Ugandan shillings. Now, government does require the beneficiary companies must have a workforce that is composed of more than 50% of Ugandans. But according to the report, it does not look so. Now, these tax breaks are given onto the understanding that they are free capital so that the companies can employ more staff, majority of whom should be Ugandans. So, according to the report, it does seem like it is not so. And the government is further going to be looking into that particular matter because that is a worrying report. Now, lastly, from the world of business, we head to the international scene. Facebook turns 20 years. Now, when you look at this, it is still the world's largest social media platform, and it's celebrating its 20th birthday, or it celebrated its 20th birthday yesterday. In 2004, when you look back at the time, it was actually replacing dial-up internet, and mobile phones with color screens were gaining popularity. And on February 4th, a social network named the Facebook was launched by a 19-year-old Mark Zuckerberg, and his college roommates at Harvard University. But as of now, today, you get to realize that Facebook was locked out of the country or banned in the country during the COVID-19 pandemic of 2021. Well, as close of business Friday, let's look at how the forex market was faring so that when you move out, you can definitely see how the currencies are as you tend to exchange different currencies. The US dollar was buying at 3,814.92 while selling at 3,824.92 opening Friday. By closing time, the US dollar was buying at 3,815.29 while selling at 3,825.29. The Great Britain pound was buying at 4,063.73 while selling at 4,876.47. The euro was buying at 4,151.03 while selling at 4,101.91. The Kenyan shilling was buying at 23.77 while selling at 23.83. The Tanzanian shilling was buying at 1.50 while selling at 1.50 as well. The South African rand was buying at 205.20 while selling at 205.73. Well, that is how you will find the forex market today. Well, and that is it from our business today. This morning, I'll be back tomorrow with more business updates. But stick around, Olive Monica is just right here to take you through the traffic updates.
Well, today is the 6th of February 2024. Also, this day is important in the education sector because local schools are returning to school today. They are opening for the new academic year and of course first term 2024. Now, as that happens, this means traffic jam on most of our roads. This actually started last week on a Saturday. There was intense traffic pretty much in every corner of Kampala Metropolitan. I don't know what happened in your areas if you're out of Kampala Metropolitan, but one thing I know for sure is that if you try to access Nakawa, if you try to go to Ntinda, the areas of Nsambia, there was intense traffic. Of course, this was also came up because of some of the roadworks that were being done, let's say in Nakawa, and of course the road in Nsambia was being marked. But now, today being Monday, would like to look at the road situation and see how best we can get from one place to another. Now, we will start at around the clock tower looking at the traffic situation in this area, but we are going to go to the side of Muganzi Raza building and see how best the road can be maneuvered as of this morning. Now, as we can see, there is a bit of traffic jam coming through from Entebbe Road around the area coming into clock tower. And of course, around Chibuye, we also see traffic jam coming through. But now when we take the Muganzi Raza side and we take that road that goes by Muganzi Raza building, we see that there is a smooth flow of traffic, at least for this minute. Now, looking at Mutebi Road as it joins this other road here, we see that there is smooth flow of traffic. Also, those that are using Queensway through Katwe, there is smooth flow of traffic as of now. Now, a bit of Queensway is closed off, as you can see. So if that's the route that you are going to use, then you might have to use an alternative route, because this one, there will be a diversion, because as of this morning, this part of the road is closed off. Now, continuing ahead, we see that around the area where Nachivubo Channel joins the main road that has brought you from Katwe side, there is a bit of traffic jam here, especially around the area that has Uganda Police Fire Brigade Station. You will experience a delay around this area. Now, looking at the area that is downtown, that has Mega Standard Supermarket, you will also encounter traffic jam around this area. Now, I'd like for us to look at other roads within this area and see how best you can maneuver. Now, around the area that has Capital Shoppers Supermarket, you're going to encounter a bit of a delay in this area, so you will have to think fast to get to the place that you are headed to. Now, also looking at some of the other areas in this space, we look at Speak Road and see that there is smooth flow of traffic around here. And of course, looking at Kampala Road, we see that the area that has the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development offices, there is a bit of traffic jam that is starting to catch up with you. But also those going to Duster Street, you will experience a delay, as evidenced by this orange zone that we see. Now, up ahead, if you're coming from Duster Street and you're trying to now branch off and join Entebbe Road, you will experience a bit of traffic around Market Street as it transitions into Entebbe Road. And also those that are coming in from Nasa Road, you will experience a delay right where Nasa Road joins Entebbe Road. And of course, having a look at Nasa Road itself, there is a bit of traffic jam there, but when you look at where it comes from, the biggest stretch of it has smooth flow of traffic as of this morning. Now, going back down around Ginger Road, we see that there is a traffic jam right before Nema House as you come from the intersection that takes you to the side of Yusuf Lay Road. Now, still moving ahead, we see that Kampala Road has smooth flow of traffic, and if that's where you're headed, you should be able to move smoothly. Well, that's it that we had for you as far as the traffic updates are concerned this morning. We'll be back tomorrow to share the same.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
MTN Momo Pay is the easy way to pay. Dial *165*3# or use the MTN Momo app. You don't need cash. MTN Momo Pay is safe and free.
Well, welcome everyone to the biggest game on the continent.
And you have to. You've got to just seize those moments and enjoy them as much as you possibly can.
Juko.
Yo.
Wachiko. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Uganda, haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
A new dawn on Behind the Headlines with me, Timothy Nyangweso. Every Wednesday, live in our studios in the heart of Kampala, we have conversations that have analysis, explanation, but not every truth is fact, and not every fact is truth. Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
All on your public broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
The cardinal role of a government is maintaining law and order, safeguarding citizens' rights, and providing essential public goods and services. Throughout its tenure, the government has consistently upheld these principles. This foundation creates an environment conducive to delivering crucial social services to citizens through diverse approaches such as taxation, strategic budgeting, and effective policy implementation. A transformative education system, advancing healthcare provisions, enhancing social welfare, and propelling infrastructure growth, all of which continue to evolve daily to cater to the population's expectations. Supported by a meticulously organized network of ministries, government remains committed to serving its citizens. Coming soon on your public broadcaster, The Front Bench, your interface with the government every Monday at 8:30 p.m. with Joram Paul Sonko, only on your public broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
107.3 Kampala, 96.9 Mbale, 95.7 Jinja, 98.6 Soroti. You are all covered.
UBC Mutego. UBC Mutego.
107.3. Kampala 96.9. Mbale 95.7. Jinja 98.6. Soroti, you are all covered.
UBC Butebo. UBC Butebo.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Azam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
Good morning and thank you so much for being with us on UBC TV. Welcome to the agenda on Good Morning Uganda, where we have a guest and we discuss issues of national importance. Now, children are going back to school. Students are, some have already reported, others have officially begun today and maybe some tomorrow. Now, we want to look at the curriculum. What are these students are going to be taught? We must remind you that we had a change in the lower secondary curriculum, and this is going to be the first year, 2024, when we shall have students being examined under the new curriculum. But also for primary, there were some bit of changes. Now, today I'm humbled to host the guest who happens to be one of my primary school teachers at Nakasero Primary School. And he's still in the education system, this time not holding chalk on the blackboard, but he is with the National Curriculum Development Center, and that is Mulumba Mutemu Matthias, a curriculum specialist at the National Curriculum Development Center. Teacher, Mr. Mulumba.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning, my student.
How are you?
I'm good. How is you?
I'm very fine.
How is the new year?
The new year is fine.
Good.
Very optimistic. This is going to be a good year.
Thank you.
Now, earlier on, to begin on a lighter note, I had a joke with my teacher, and we were trying to look at some of the students who were within class those days, and I pointed out one who was an academic dwarf. And he knew him. He was a very big problem, ever the first from behind. And I think we found him even in that class. He had rebounded. Now, I told him that to my shock today, amongst our year, he's the richest. And I was asking him, how come? This academic dwarf, he's a very successful man. He has apartments. He drives the most expensive cars. He mastered the art of business and the very best. Of course, I was among the best, but the very best, they don't match to about 4 dwarfs I mentioned, academic dwarfs. And I was asking him, now, why is the mismatch? You were very good in school. These guys were a problem, and they are very successful. So is there something that we miss in our curriculum?
Thank you, presenter, and good morning, viewers. The presenter is asking us a very pertinent question. And the question is that, is our teaching, learning, and assessment serving society or preparing us for society? I can say the answer is yes and no. When we are at school, many of us are assessed in the curriculum that has been existing for our cognitive ability. And this cognitive ability was working only in the class. So you are measured and you are given sometimes what I call balloon success. You are showed that you are the best, but when it is balloon, when you leave school and you face the real world, it doesn't measure up. So some, in the school system, some of the younger people, we assess them on things that they are not well prepared for. They have not been prepared well enough to display their potential. Yet they have the potential to be good. In another instance is that the school system is focusing on different things while society is focusing on different things. So there we get a mismatch. Yeah.
Now let's go back to primary. This year, what curriculum is going to be followed under primary? Because at least for secondary, we know there were some changes. And for primary, we hear that there could be some changes, then some teachers are saying, but we've not been oriented. What is going to happen this year, 2024? How is primary going to move through?
Thank you for reminding our teachers. As we begin the year, I want to remind them that we had a period when we got into COVID-19. And when we got into COVID-19, 2 years we were at home, seated, and in 2022, or during that period when we were at home, National Curriculum Development Center and the Ministry of Education and Sports were able to share with the communities, with the people, home study material. But that was not enough to make everybody come to be on board. So before we began school in 2022, after COVID-19 lockdown, the Ministry of Education and Sports, through National Curriculum Development Center, we were able to give you an abridged curriculum. And at the release of the abridged curriculum, you were told that it's going to work for 3 years. So all of us now, we have come back to the existing curriculum of the primary. So at this moment in time, I'm calling upon all the primary teachers and the center coordinating tutors who support the teachers on the ground to help everybody and inform them that we have come back to the normal curriculum of the primary. Like this one I'm holding is for primary 6. So every teacher, before you go to class, look at the curriculum. Follow the curriculum from term 1 up to when the term ends. Prepare your lessons. Prepare teaching aids following the curriculum. That is now what we are going to follow. And I am calling upon the head teachers who are our immediate supervisors on the ground to ensure that the teachers are following the curriculum as it was written by National Curriculum Development Center.
Now, sorry, the word Mr. Murumba comes back. But one thing, when we talk about the abridged curriculum, some people thought it very beneficial because you are looking at the most critical, most important topics, if I use that word, topics that are relevant, and that is what you did. And it was examinable in that manner. Why are we going back? Because we've been criticized for so much that, you know, you feed so much to our children that is sometimes not even necessary. Now here you had a summarized curriculum hitting on most critical areas.
You are right. That is what an abridged curriculum is supposed to do. An abridged curriculum is supposed to look at the most essential things a learner should learn at a given stage in the cycle. So we have those essential things in the curriculum, like inside this curriculum. The essential things are there. But the other additional content to the essential components that somebody has to learn are just to enable you to practice as many times as possible, such that you become as good as the expert. So when we have time to practice, we go into the practice. You know, you are aware that after losing 2 years, we didn't have time. So we wanted only to deliver the essential that everyone across the globe is learning, such that our learners in Uganda are also up to speed with what the world is learning.
Now, as the National Curriculum Development Center, what are you doing to make education more? Because for secondary, fine, we see the step in the right direction. But for primary level, to make education more practical, there's so much of theoretic or cram work. And this time, UNEB, I want to thank UNEB, they did it to us. I must say the setting this time was more of how did you understand, not what did you cram. Moreover, the ungraded became so many. So what are you doing to make this more practical? The theoretical thing, children having as if they are backpackers. P6, a child has a bag of this, as if they are going for a trip or something like that, and they are carrying books and pamphlets, and we did it. We don't want our children to do that.
Thank you very much for that. I want to inform the parents and our teachers and our head teachers and everybody that the way the curriculum is written, it is hands-on, this curriculum. Like in primary 6, if you are near me, you could see what the curriculum is telling the learners to do. And now, for the teachers, they find themselves doing things outside the curriculum. And I'm calling upon the teachers, do not overload and overburden the learners. Follow the curriculum. If you are saying hands-on, this curriculum is hands-on. Like here in primary 6, if they ask you, they're asking the learners here, one of the things expected out of the learner is to write a formal letter to apply for a vacancy in senior 1. Who doesn't want to write letters? It is hands-on. But if the teachers get out of this and start telling children to write things outside, writing a formal letter, then it's not the problem of the curriculum. It is the problem of interpretation. And as Curriculum Development Center, we've been going to the low-performing districts to support them interpret well the primary curriculum. Likewise, all of the other teachers, we call upon you through the CCTs, through the district education officers, through the district inspector of schools. We would like you to go around helping the teachers to interpret the curriculum very well. As you have said, when you look at primary 4 curriculum, there is a topic there where the learners are supposed to know the parts of the flowering plant. But what the teachers do, when you look at the primary kids, they make them to study Introduction to Biology by McKee. The content is too much. So if they don't study that, they make them to copy notes. So the children end up having a lot full of books on their back. And this is going to damage their disc plates in the back. And by the age of 50, the children will be having problems.
Now, let's also look at another issue. Is the problem teachers or students? You gave me an hour, and I had time to read through the curriculum of P6. And when you look at that curriculum, it is very nice to begin with. But our children their abilities, leave alone these in urban schools. The ones I call first-class schools are not following the international syllabus or system. But very few, for example, if schools have opened, randomly bump into any of these schools around and tell a senior, or a P7, now we have gone to P7 because I've been P6, to write a formal letter asking for a vacancy for senior 1. How many can do it? So why is the missing link? A very good syllabus?
Good. You are talking about now, how are the teachers learning every day? Are they lifelong learners? We call that in teacher professional development, we call it continuous professional development. Most of the teachers, when they leave the teacher training colleges, they think they have finished. And that is one mismatch. 2, they are not following the syllabus. So they go and get pamphlets on the street because maybe in 1 year there was a question that came in the PLE. So they now start following the pamphlet. They are not following the syllabus. That creates another mismatch. Thirdly, is that a teacher to be good in what he does, he needs 10,000 hours of intensive, continuous professional development. They need each year at least 300 hours of their own learning.
What do you mean by their own learning? Reading books,
like now,
refresher courses? Or?
Like now, we get the syllabus, like here, it is about stating the functions of the human ear. As we work, you may not be able to remember the functions of each part. So you need to go back and be refreshed, you yourself as a teacher, on the topics you are going to teach. If they are not doing that, then there is a very big gap. So we need the teachers to have continuous professional development. This can be done in 2 ways. Already the ministry is preparing the unity, which will be in charge of continuous professional development. Then at school level, the head teacher should organize protected time for teachers' professional development, such that they refresh themselves on what they teach. They also look at how the emerging ways of teaching our learners are coming up today to meet the learner of 21st century. So if we can do all that and we follow the syllabus, the teachers will not fail to make our learners achieve the competence of writing a letter to apply for vacancy in senior 1.
Now, Mr. Mulumba, that said, also looking at the syllabus that you've rightly said teachers should understand and be able to pass it on. Now, of late, I don't know if there is so much content that has been added in the syllabus or in the curriculum, to be honest, because when we were in school, and many people are testify to this fact, that school had times of opening and closing. You'd begin class, I think, at around 9, then have your lunch, go for break, then have lunch, then come back, and 4, school was done. Today, school starts as early as 6, not preps. Sometimes prep begins from 5 to 6. Now that is prep. They have a short break, and I'm talking about primary. Then you return and begin classes. Then class sometimes ends as early as late as 7. Then a short break, then there is prep. Doesn't the Curriculum Development Center draw a proper plan on what to be taught at a particular time to be able to complete the syllabus? It's common for a teacher to tell you, we finished second term work in first term. Now, for us in our school, we are just revising. This nonsensical way of doing things, what went wrong?
Okay, many things went wrong, as you are pointing out. One, people are over-teaching, but we have not done any better. The children do not understand what they are being taught. They are just made containers of useless knowledge. The curriculum here has guidance, including a timetable on how we should spend our time at school.
Lesson plans and all that.
Yeah, it has that guidance. And also the books that the government has procured there is a timetable here in the syllabus, telling us that we start lesson is at 8:30, there is a morning assembly at 8, and then we go through up to 3:30, where if the teachers are following this timetable, if I read what is the guidance here, mathematics, English, Capet 2, this is what the teachers are not doing. They ignore the timetable and they create their own. There is library time, and for us during our time, we used also to do handicraft, we used to do games, we used to do debate. All of those are indicated in the syllabus. So I'm calling upon the teachers, follow the syllabus. There is no need to teach a kid between the age of 5 and 13 beyond 3:30. Now the world has moved, that we are teaching less and doing more. You need only to introduce the context, the concept to the learner, and then give activities. Some of them, the learner will do them by themselves. But we need to follow the stipulated timetable which is in the syllabus.
Now, Mr. Mulumba, fine, you're from the National Curriculum Development Center, and we have a very good curriculum. But I just need your opinion on this. Maybe one will say this will be directly for UNEB or the Ministry of Education, but you're all under even the same umbrella. Now, what's the use of having a very good curriculum and it's not being implemented? For example, one time, our owner of a school told me, why would I spend money to buy space for a playground or a pitch? It is not examinable by UNEB. Now, the curriculum even has stipulated time for that. He asked me, Robert, why would I waste time, bring these students in a hall for debating classes? Because in our days, debate was something that was very interesting. And no wonder these days I see members of parliament acting funny, some in parliament, you know, standing up and clapping, yet you just stamp a honorable member of parliament. The language sometimes they use, all these, yet these you learn as early as primary. So they don't see why the time for debate should not be for a time to study SST, to study science, to study mathematics, which UNEB is going to examine. Now, what's then the use of your good work input here as not going to be implemented?
Thank you very much, moderator. You find that we need to educate everybody about developing a holistic person. We need that. A healthy body is a healthy mind. If the learners do not go for games and sports, if the learners are not using their hands on craft such that their motor skills are well developed, then that learner is not developing holistically. You are pointing out what we are reaping because we are not doing that. That some of our members of parliament cannot do parliamentary procedure because they didn't have an opportunity in class to learn parliamentary procedure. So they just find themselves in a space where they can't play. So they do any nonsense there. Because during the time to prepare for that big task, the teachers or the investors in education that have come ignored the principles of developing a holistic person. So this curriculum is based on developing a holistic person. A holistic person should be able to communicate with others, like we are communicating here. And during debate, we are learning the procedure of parliament, the procedure at local council, at the district, the procedure at the LC3, how all participating in a meeting. That is the importance of debate. But the teachers, if they don't do it, then they are denying our younger people the opportunity to be effective when that time comes. When it comes to games and sports, younger people need to develop their muscles, and they develop them by engaging in activities, games, and sports. If you don't train the body, it will be helpless when the demand comes. So I'm calling upon the teachers, the head teachers, our fellow investors who are coming to support education. We welcome you, but go and learn what it takes to develop a holistic person. We need to do a lot in that line.
Holistic person.
Yes.
Well, that is another very interesting way to look at education. That is not only the marks that matter, but there is also so much. And when we were growing up, they had a word in Uganda. They would say, "Gundi yeisanga atasoma," because they expected the person who has gone to school not only to have the good grades, but holistically well developed. His thinking, his reasoning, and all that, which maybe today is something we are missing. Now, this is going to be the first year that we are going to have our students, that is in secondary, who went for the lower curriculum that was released by the National Curriculum Development Center and Ministry of Education, have them examined under this curriculum. Now, how prepared are we when we still have teachers who tell they don't even understand this?
Thank you for that. At this moment in time, I want to add my voice to the moderator that this year, 2024, we are making a landmark to change from the curriculum which was brought in Uganda in 1918, and we have been running it for over 100 years plus. We are changing to a new lower secondary curriculum, and the first cohort is slated to sit this year, 2024 come October, November. We are prepared enough. I know we have done training of teachers since 2020. We have been doing that. But because all of us, we don't have the same speed of learning or the same speed of understanding things because of our zone of proximal development. Like I take the example, when I came to Kampala my first time, I stayed in Ntinda. I only knew the park and Ntinda. Now I've lived here for 42 years and I've known a lot about Kampala. But I've not even completed knowing all of the Kampala. Some places, when I pass there, it will be my first time to pass there. So that is my zone of proximal development of Kampala. That each year I add on. So some teachers were very good in understanding and learning what it takes to implement the new curriculum. We thank them. Those who are still struggling, it is because of their zone of proximal development. And now they need to take up it upon themselves to learn what is required to teach a new curriculum. I want to emphasize to our viewers that the new curriculum for senior 1 to 2, we have subjects that they have to learn, and they are well written in a book called the Curriculum Framework. In this book, on page 12, you find the subjects to be done. There are 11 compulsory subjects for senior 1 and 2. And I want to read them because the viewers may not have access to the book. English language, mathematics, history and political education, geography, physics, biology, chemistry. I pause a bit there. We have learners with special learning needs. For them, they will not do physics, biology, and chemistry. They will do general science. Then we have physical education. Again, I pause. For the first time in this country, we are going to have assessment of physical education at secondary school. So it is going to be a landmark examination for physical education. Then we have religious education. Here again, I want to inform that according to the foundation board of the school, religious education in a school like Chibuli, which is Muslim founded, they are following Islamic religious education. The school like St. Mary's Namagunga, which is a Christian or Catholic founded school, they are following Christian religious education. The themes and the concepts being taught are the same, but the reference book for the Christian, it is the Bible. The reference book for the Muslims, it is the Quran. Then we have entrepreneurship, and we have Kiswahili. These 11 are compulsory for senior 1 and 2. Then a learner adds one subject out of the 9. The 9 are agriculture, information and communication technology or ICT. Foreign languages, we have 5 of them. They include French, German, Latin, Arabic, and Chinese. You choose one. Then we have local languages. The local language, you choose out of those that have the orthography, they have the books, they have the teachers. There are already 10 that meet that demand. So you choose one if it is being taught in your area. Then we have literature in English. Here in senior 1 and 2, literature in English and English literature, all those with English language, they are taught together. Like during my time, I was able to read 100 novels in senior 1 and 2. I know The Mine Boy, I know Things Fall Apart, I know No Longer at Ease, The Petals of Blood, and so on. I know all of those. Zuma, The Mine Boy. All those books, I'm conversant with them because the teacher taught literature in English with English language in senior 1 and 2. Then we have art and design. We have performing arts. Here is where music, dance, and drama were integrated into one subject called performing arts. Then we have technology and design. Here also we integrated metalwork, woodwork, energy, electricity. All those were integrated into one subject. And when you go to Mengo, it is well done there. Then nutrition and food technology. So that is the menu. But the learner out of these last 9 that I've just read chooses one. So a total of 12. Then when you go to senior 3 and 4, the learner does 7 compulsory subjects. And the 7 compulsory are English, mathematics, history and political education, geography, physics, biology, chemistry. Those are compulsory. The learners with special learning needs will be doing their general science. So a learner in senior 3 and 4 is supposed to do a minimum of 8 and a maximum of 9. So that is the menu. The teachers were told this. A circular was released in 2020 to this effect. We gave books to the schools. The government of Uganda, through the Ministry of Education and Sports, bought books that were distributed to both private and government secondary school. The books were for the learners and one for the teachers, to guide the teachers on how to teach and deliver the new lower secondary curriculum. I'm encouraging everybody to use these materials and see that our learners are ready. In the books for the learners, there is guidance on how assessment is supposed to be done, because teaching, learning, and assessment go hand in hand. You don't separate them. They are twins or triplets.
Well, I'm just wondering why agriculture and ICT are made optional subjects that one should take, and we still have religious education as one of those, and history. But that is what we have, and we must perfect that. Our backbone is agriculture, then it's an optional. The world is moving into ICT. The 4 areas the president talks about that Uganda is using for economic development as we head into a developed country, away from developing countries. And ICT is something we are...
Okay, moderator, you are
really.
You are pointing out one thing that I didn't mention earlier on. I want to call all the stakeholders and all of the teachers, all of the secondary schools, that ICT is integrated in all subjects. But also we made it as a subject. It is integrated, including like in history. There is a page here in the syllabus of history telling the teachers of history what to do to integrate ICT.
Okay. Yeah, I see ICT integration.
And I'm calling upon the teachers of all subjects that don't spend 2 weeks when the learners have not interacted with the ICT tools, the computers. When you are preparing your lesson every 2 weeks, take the learners into the computer lab and deliver your lesson using ICT as a teacher of any subject.
Mr. Mulumba, I'll have to find more time and have you back here. We'll still look at our syllabus or our curriculum and see how best we can have the best out of it when it comes to classes. But before I let you go, what is your last remark?
Thank you very much. I want to first thank UBC on behalf of the Ministry of Education and Sports and the National Curriculum Development Center for giving us this opportunity to share what the stakeholders need to know about what we do as Curriculum Development Center, and also to inform them the up-to-date information. My last message to all stakeholders: let us put our hands together and support teaching and learning in our schools. Let each and everybody come and do his part effectively. I'm calling upon all stakeholders, the parents, the teachers, the learners, the community members, our leaders in society, the parliament, and everybody, wherever you are, support teaching and learning in our schools such that we can develop the human capital required to develop this country. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Mulumba. Well, important to note is for primary, we are back to the normal curriculum. The abridged curriculum has come to an end because it has expired 3 years since COVID. We are now back. So teachers, primary teachers, make sure you teach the students the entire curriculum because they will be examined not only on those critical areas. For secondary, this is going to be the first year that the lower secondary curriculum is going to be examined. So have the right information, teach the right subjects, so that at the end of the day, would not have issues like students failed because there is a new curriculum and teachers were not well knowledgeable about it. The books are there. If you don't have them, see how best you get them. See you in the next hour. Ruben is coming up with sports. Good morning.